There is a beautiful story in which I have told several times. Sometimes people don't listen, they just are touched by a story. Instead of it is there to explain, to understand. Oh my goodness, something beautiful is buzzing around me. I think that was a bee. There was a great guru. Very much like Hanuman, his attention was unshakable. Individuals would tell him all these horrendous stories, and there was not a single expression as his steadfastness towards love. Like all great beings, they have one eye turned inwardly onto the inner self. They never lose this connection between the inner self. And the other eye looks into the world in the illusion. All these great yogis, these great beings that are awakening, one eye is continuously steadfast onto the inner world, the truth beyond the matrix, the truth beyond this duality of the world in which we live in. And the other eye is looking into the world, but it's only the observer of what you're experiencing in this world. The majority of people react immediately by what they see and what they hear. A great yogi, a great saint, someone that is on a path of self-realization and awakening, is the observer of what they're experiencing. They're not reacting, they are the observer. They allow an experience to enter into their consciousness. Like a big warehouse, the experience just sits within the warehouse until further understanding, until the wisdom of the soul enters into the experience and we have greater knowledge, greater understanding. The majority of the time, the things in which we perceive, the things in which we believe are never really quite true, because it depends on whom is the interpreter of the experience. Is it the ego that is the interpreter, or is the soul? When we allow a space to open, then we can allow a greater interpretation. This is duality between being stuck in the matrix or experiencing the duality of the matrix. The moment I react, the moment I engage, I am in the matrix. The moment I become the witness of the experience, of a experience, and to allow a greater interpretation. There's a great story in which I have told many, many, many times, and I think people are beginning to understand a different interpretation of this story. There is a great, great guru, and he is chanting away with the beautiful disciples that have come to see him. And all of a sudden, the kitchen catches on fire. The majority of all the kitchen staff and the helpers come rushing, barging into the meditation hall and say, we must put out the fire, we must immediately act. But they're actually saying we must react. Like Hanuman, like Ganesh. These great yogis, these great gods, have learned that nothing really truly is the way that we perceive them to be. There is a duality, as I'm telling you, that you are God, and yet I'm telling you to be steadfast within your mind, the duality of this reality. One eye is turned inwardly into the inner side, the inner self, and never leaves that space, that inner roaming of consciousness. The outer eye is looked into this world, but never reacts to the experience because he is the observer of this duality. The guru does absolutely nothing. He doesn't even open his eyes. He doesn't even tell them to sit down. He doesn't even react. He becomes very quiet, very still. The entire kitchen burns down within a very short time. The kitchen is completely rebuilt within 3 days. No one really understands how the guru could possibly rebuild this kitchen. Where did the workers come from? How did he get all the appliances? How did he manage? Eventually a disciple says, "Did the guru tell me, how did you do this?" He said, "In my reality, the kitchen never burned down. If I believed your fear, if I believed your anxiety, if I believed your reality, then I would have been very doomed and none of us would have eaten because my fear would have overtaken my reality." We live in this duality that we are continuously told what to think, what to do, where to go, how, what, when, and where. And everyone else is running around. The guru rebuilt because it was never his reality. This is the matrix, the freedom of the matrix. When we live within the matrix, when we live within the matrix, we're confined within its experiences. But when we live outside the matrix, and we are the observer of the experiences of this life, then we can create, we can go beyond the experiences. Two brothers decide to go back to Italy to go visit their father. The brothers had not seen each other for a very long time. Both chose very different lives. One found self-contentment. He began to realize that his father was not the one that had injured him, even though that his father had abused him, verbally abused him, physically abused him, psychologically abused him. He had spent much of his life understanding that he had pain. His father had not given him the pain. His father had given him an experience of abuse. His father had given him an experience. But he understood that he had chosen his father. He understood that his experience with his father was there to purify his own pain body. He understood that his father had not necessarily trespassed against him, but that his father had only enhanced, exacerbated the internal pain that was within him already. The other brother had become very rich and very powerful. He looped a lot and was very angry at his father for robbing him from his childhood and not giving him the freedom that he should have had as a child. He was robbed from experience. The matrix loops and repeats. How many times do you see your family? How many times do you see the person that you work with? How many times every day do you loop and repeat the same experiences over and over? Because that is your experience, your reality within the matrix. One brother is out of the matrix. He's found peace. Does he understand that what his father had done was not acceptable in any way? The answer is yes. But it was not his father that had trespassed against him. Within him there was pain. There was anger. He had come into this lifetime learning to purify himself, to liberate himself. His father was only a vehicle, an instrument. Does he condone the actions of his father? Under no means. But within himself, he needs to purify. We are in a very interesting time within society. All these Atlanteans are all having memory of the ending of Atlantis. People are having memory, people are having experiences, people are scared, people are afraid, people are concerned, people are worried. When we step into the pain body and begin to re-enter into consciousness, it is like a plane that begins to enter into the atmosphere, and it is about to land, and the turbulence causes us such discomfort. But you live a life that you have created your own reality. You have Googled your way into Google, and Google knows exactly what your fears and concerns are. YouTube knows exactly your favorite videos and your greatest fears and your greatest concerns. You live in a world that all of your social media is dictating to you. You have created the illusion of the matrix. Everything around you, your fears, your social media, your news, are all of the illusions. Is there a virus? Indeed. Is there fear? Indeed. Do you need to stay home? Yes, indeed. Do you need to take this virus seriously? Yes, indeed. But what happens if everything in which you've heard, from social media to YouTube to Google to everything that is around you, is another conspiracy, another distraction, and another to stop you from entering into your inner self, to recognize that you are divine, that you are God? Is this your own challenge, your own test, to become steadfast within yourself, to become disciplined, to let one eye continuously be on to the inner self, that you never lose your connection with your soul? Indeed it is. Is the other eye looking into the matrix, needing to create a space, allowing a greater interpretation? I always find it very interesting when I experience and watch people heighten their fear, because all of your social media has already created your matrix, your illusion, your fear. Isn't it interesting that you've created a life, and all the social medias around you have created your greatest worries, your greatest fears? And then we have each city and each country that exacerbates and multiplies and creates even a greater anxiety. Are you experiencing every lifetime that you've experienced loss? Indeed. Have you experienced great death, great trauma? Indeed. Are you re-engaging into the ending of Atlantis and the trauma? Indeed. But is this not the time that we reintegrate and we allow the turbulence of discomfort to be burned, so that we become liberated and that we're no longer allowing the experience of the matrix to dictate our reality? The answer is yes. We are love. We are light. We live in a duality. I was watching Bart going onto social media, and I recognized that everything that was being recommended to him had nothing to do with anything in the world. Bart watches The Voice. He watches American Voice, American Idol. All the recommendations of the social media had everything to do with people reaching their dreams. There are no advertisements that he gets. There is no recommendation, because he does not search the internet for the truth or the conspiracies, because he is awakened. When you're awakened, you don't need to find a conspiracy. You don't need to find. The truth is, you are divine. The truth is, there is no conspiracy except within the matrix. Become the observer of your life. Don't allow the experiences that you're having, that you're seeing, become your reality. This is the time for awakening. This is the time to free yourself from fear and anxiety. Sit within your pain body. Free yourself from your own discomfort. Sit within the turbulence until your discomfort is burned off. Become love. Become light. This is the entire purpose of your incarnation, is liberation. What is out here is just a matrix, an opportunity to free yourself from the duality of illusion. Love. Love deeply. Love yourself. God be with you. Sadhgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.